What's up, family? This is Coach Tom back with another video, and this time we're going to talk about if I were a new investor in 2022, which funds would I be looking to get into? If I only had a few $100s, how do I start this? How do I begin? What do I invest in? And I'm here to give you a few tips, some guidance. Again, this is not financial advice. I am not a professional. I'm just talking about what Coach Tom would do if it was 2022 and I only had a few $100s and I was going to get into investing. So make sure you hit the like button. Please subscribe. Helps with the channel. Trying to grow this so my family understands that we got us. We prepare, we plan, and we perform. And the more and more we do that and the more we help each other, the more that we can do better in this tumultuous times. Okay? So let's get right into it. Okay. Before we can start to invest, we have to understand the state of the union. We have to understand what the economy looks like. The last year during this pandemic, the last couple of years of this pandemic, we have pumped $13 trillion into the economy. And this has caused us to have 6.8% in inflation. So our money is overinflated. The cost of goods cost much more than they typically would cost because of all this extra money that's being put in. And we have brought the interest rates down to like nothing. So with all this money that's been put into the economy to help stimulate the economy, we have caused a lot of inflation, okay? So if you were to put your money in a bank account and you were to get, let's just say you were lucky enough to get 1% of savings, and that's not going to happen. But let's say you did. You would still be losing money because inflation was 6.8%. So it didn't matter. You'd have to do a good job in savings accounts or in the market in order to combat that, to make your money equal the same from last year as it is this year. The Feds have decided that they're going to come into the year and they're going to hike interest rates. And one of the reports is they're going to do at least 3 times. And the word at least means minimum 3. So there may be more. So what that does is we're going to stop spending. It's going to halt borrowing. It's going to create an interest rate that's higher. So when you go to borrow money from the banks, it's going to cost you more money. We're not going to stimulate the economy in the same manner that we have in the past in 2020 and 2021. It's just not going to happen. So that means we're going to have to go into rotation into what we're going to invest in. And if I'm a new investor, I need to understand that before I get excited about going into tech stocks or things of that nature, because those are usually the ones that are hardest hit. So interest rates go up, consumer spending usually goes down. The price of goods usually come down because now we don't have as many people willing to pay extra for an item because they don't have the money. So when that goes, prices come down. Real estate market prices will probably come down. And that's just going to happen multiple times in the market. So we have to make sure that we're in a good situation that we're putting ourselves in and that we're not getting hit by what's typically stocks that get hit hard when interest rates go up. So if I were you, being Coach Tom, I would go check out what stocks do well during the times when the Feds increase interest rates. That's one due diligence I would go do, and I would make sure I understood that very well. Cotillion had a theory way back in the day, and it was basically comes to he who is close to the king and the wealthy likely benefit from the distributional choice of currency through the system. So those who are closer to the top, those are closer to the president, those are closer to the top of the companies, usually do well, much better than those who are down further. And that's going to take place and going to ring so true in 2022. So family, in times like this, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to invest in 2022. And I know what's going on with the Feds. I know the interest rates are going to go up. And I'm new to investing. I might not want to dip my toes so quickly into individual stocks. I might want to look at things like index funds or ETFs, things that I kind of get a broad sense of a lot of different stocks in a portfolio, and I'm mirroring either the S&P 500 or one of the indexes so that I can understand the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of the stock market, get familiarized with trading, but not doing it where it's one stock at a time, where there's more volatility in what we're doing. You know, the swings of 6-7% in some of these tech stocks is crazy. And if you're not used to that, you're going to end up doing a buying high and selling low. And that's just not what we want to do. So I would first have to look at index funds. And the question is, what are index funds? And I'm going to try to break that down to you as simple as I can. Index fund has two parts. Index fund. Let's talk about the fun part first. Basically, investors get together and they pool their money with other investors. And they decide that they're going to invest in a certain fund. That fund will have a fund manager. That fund manager will decide what percentage of the money will get invested into which stocks. So as a new investor, you don't have to worry about all these other things like looking at valuation sheets or financials, or just a lot of different factors that you would have to do in order to research into which funds you're going to go into. The next part of that is the index. And that's just basically looking at which index, like the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, that group of stocks are going to be represented from. So that fund manager will then pick those type of stocks in order for this fund and for these investors to put their money in. Again, eliminates you having to do a lot of valuations, knowing with PE ratios, price to earning ratios, or any of those type of valuations that you look at when you're deciding which stocks to invest in. The fund manager will then charge you a small percentage for managing that fund. But again, if you're new, it exposes you to a lot of different stocks in a portfolio that usually can, it usually doesn't have as much swings up or down. And you can build yourself out with a good percentage, but you won't have such volatility you would have with an individual stock. So the first one we're going to look at is the Vanguard 500 Index Fund, VFIAX. The course of the year has done over 23%. The price right now is $431.77. The issue is that in order to get in this one, you need $3,000 the minimum to start this fund. Next up, we have the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, VTSAX, a current $114.89. It is up over 19% this year, and it also has a $3,000 minimum to begin this fund. If you're a new investor and you don't have $3,000 to begin a fund, we have the Schwab S&P 500 Index Fund. It's up 23% a year. The price is $71.61. The great thing is that you don't have that $3,000 minimum to get started in this fund, and it's done a good job over the past year. Another Schwab index fund I like is the Schwab Total Stock Market Index Fund, currently $80.44 a share. It has increased almost 19% in the past year. It also doesn't have a $3,000 minimum, so it's great for new investors who don't have that type of money but want to have some exposure to the market. And I told you before, when they're running these funds, the fund manager usually gets a small percentage, and that was the case for the first 4 index funds that we looked at. But for this Fidelity Zero Total Market Index Fund, which has done well over the year, almost 20%, it's currently at $16.42 a share. It does not have any of those fees. So it doesn't have a minimum, and it doesn't take out any fees. So again, just looking at some of the top ones that I like, index funds, there are more that you can go research, but here's a few just in case you're looking to start out. So to end this video, family, and just to help out new investors, and we're going to have a series of these, but this is the first one. We talked about index funds, so we understand that. Another thing that I would get involved in if I were a new investor is looking at ETFs. And then the last, we'll look at the pillars, the certain stocks that we may want to build out our portfolio to invest in and hold forever, at least a decade, if not longer. I'm particularly a long-term investor. I don't do a lot of trading unless it's on options. I do my day trading with options, and I try to make $100 to $200 a day on options each day. That would be my trading. But as a new investor, I'm showing you how I would build out my portfolio, things I would look into in order to get started, so that I don't have these big volatile swings that would cause me to get a little bit shaky as people get a little bit scared in the market and a little nervous. That stops today's video. We'll get on to the next time about ETFs. I want to continue about helping out new investors, how we're getting started, helping with my class. Don't forget, we're also going to talk about how to build out a budget to make sure that we're putting our money in the right places. We talked about debt already, and I just want to continue on that theme. I know we're doing some stuff right now about investing, but I want to make sure that we understand how to take care of the money that we do have, how to budget in the right manner so that we do have money for investing as we go along. Remember, we have to cut debt. We have to try to get that down. We have to build an emergency fund, and then we have to be able to then create money so that we can invest in. That's not the first thing you do if you have debt. But if you're a young person, I just want to get on real quick and give you some ideas of what you can do in order to start investing. And it's a great thing to start because you will gain more than you ever thought you would. Okay? Again, let's try to properly prepare. Let's try to make sure that we perform. And then that way we'll be set for the future. We got us. We take care of each other. And we make sure we stay the course. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Like you lost another one.